Hey everyone, welcome back to the Book Cave with me, Jenny. Today I have part 4 of my Goosebumps / middle grade horror, and this one is going to be a pretty fun video. I've got the last book that I have to read in Goosebumps Slappyworld, then I have the Steintingler series, and then I will get to start Goosebumps Horrorland. So yeah, I'm excited for this, and I'm going to jump right in with the final Slappyworld book. The only Slappyworld book I had left was Monster Blood is Back, and this is one of the ones that obviously connects back to the original series. And if you know anything about Monster Blood, you know how crazy they can be. This follows Sasha and her best friend Nicole, who love to cook and wind up on a cooking contest show, and along the way they find a can of Monster Blood, and you can imagine what ensues. And I did enjoy this. I did kind of like the dynamics between Sasha and Nicole, and then Sasha and her younger brother. And I also feel like this is one of the ones that does better with the Slappy interjections. He introduces it, then midway through has a little bit to say, and then at the end has his epilogue. And I feel like that kind of fit a lot better. However, I do have to say this is one of the ones that I'm not necessarily a huge fan of. While I enjoyed the overall plot and everything, and it was, you know, the same fun, goofy horror time, the very ending is a trope that I don't care for. And so that kind of took it down a peg for me. And as I've said before, I don't think I would have enjoyed these near as much had I not read the original Goosebumps when I was younger. So I feel like this is definitely for like hardcore fans of Goosebumps, or if you're kind of in this age range at this point, then you would probably like them as well. Steintinglers is R.L. Stine's new set of short stories, and I really like the covers on these. I think they're pretty cool. Yeah, so these each have, this one at least has 10 short stories, and I have to say, I really liked The Boy Who Heard Screams. I think that was probably my favorite. And then Bugs was really creepy as well. But these fit with the rest of his books in having the kind of like twist little fun endings. And this was also inspired pretty obviously by The Twilight Zone, because he says, you think something evil is watching you. You don't know where you are or how to find your way home. The terrifying howls are coming from your basement. You can't stop yourself from becoming a creature you don't recognize. The darkness surrounds you, and there's no way out. We all enjoy a good scare when we know the story isn't true. I wrote these stories to take you to a Stein-tingling world just beyond the real world. A world of shadows and fright and startling twists and surprises. I hope these stories bring you to a place where the cold tingle becomes a scream. So yeah, I love his writing and like his humor, his suspense. And the other fun thing is that these all have a little introduction about how he thought up the story, where the inspiration came from. And I do like as well, he does have some kind of modern day references with smartwatches, phones and stuff, And I like how he kind of like seamlessly integrates that while still keeping his brand of writing and humor. Steintingler's 2, I actually thought was better than the first one. I liked most of the stories in here. The only one that I didn't particularly care for was probably Kids Rule. That one I felt like just kind of didn't fit. But the creepiest one was Spider Salad. And probably my favorite one was Mind Blowers. But again, like normal, they have the R.L. Stine humor and everything. And again, as I've said with the other ones, I really do enjoy the way he writes. And I feel like he has a very good grasp of character. And even though the characters are simple, you know, with the age this is meant for, it's kept simple. They all feel unique. But yeah, this was another fun one, and I'm really enjoying these. I do honestly enjoy, like, the full-length Goosebumps, Nightmare Room, stuff like that better, because the short stories, I feel like, just aren't quite long enough to hit the same way. Steintingler's 3 is the final book that has 10 stories in it. I know number 4 will only have 3, because it does say that right on the front. But again, I absolutely love this cover. It really calls back to like the original Goosebumps, I feel like. And this one was another hit. This one had a lot of good stories. I really did like, though, The Stray Dog, The Bad Luck King, Oops, and The Dream Factory. I feel like Oops was just absolutely hilarious. That one really showed R.L. Stine's humor and something that I loved in his Goosebumps. The Bad Luck King was just one, the ending to me was hilarious. The Stray Dog, I love dogs, so obviously that one was going to be a hit. And I do kind of like how he doesn't fully make any of his evil creatures fully evil. A lot of times they turn out to just kind of being misunderstood. And yeah, just really fun. Again, his signature endings. This one so far has been the best and has, I think, the most hits out of all the stories. So I finished the collection with Steintingler's 4. This is 3 interconnected novellas. So I did like that fact here, that they were more interconnected. They, all 3 main characters go to the same middle school, live in the same town, and they all know each other. So this one has The Day I Was Discontinued, Guess What? I'm a Monster, and Mr. Howl. And I feel like this one, the stories were all good. And then I do feel like, though, the characters are mentioned in the other stories, but they don't really play a part in it. They just kind of disappeared, which did bug me a little bit. But again, this had just the traditional R.L. Stine writing, the traditional creepiness of him, and I really enjoyed that. And again, I really enjoyed seeing him bring his writing, you know, into the era we're in now, with talking about smartphones and AI and everything, and yet it still feels like him, still feels like it fits within his world. And yeah, I just absolutely love R.L. Stine. And I did read somewhere that he is going to write an adult thriller. I'm there for it. Like, I want to find more of his books and see if he has any other adult books, because, like, if he can age them up, you know, add the complication to the plot and everything, I just feel like his writing works really well for me, and always has. Maybe just because he was one of the first authors I read. But yeah, this was a really fun little collection, and this was some more kind of unique stories that were tropes he doesn't necessarily write a lot about. I will say he has done them before, but they are his lesser used tropes. So I found that really, really fun. And again, as with all of these, his little introductions to the beginning of each ones are very, very fun. So now that I've finished the Steintanglers, I believe I will start Goosebumps Horrorland with Monster Blood for breakfast, and I will report back whenever I get to that, because obviously I read all 4 of these today, so yeah, I've definitely read a good bit today, and we'll be starting that at a later date. Monster Blood for Breakfast is book 3 in the Goosebumps Horrorland series, and I didn't realize how exactly the Horrorland series works, but it is split into 2 parts, and because of the second part, you really should read them in order. In the first part, you have your kind of standalone Goosebumps story. Then the second part, you go into Horrorland. And I did kind of like the first part. It's kind of your classic Monster Blood, oh my gosh, it just keeps growing, what am I gonna do, sort of thing. And this reminded me a lot of Monster Blood 3 from the original series. But this one follows Matt and his neighbor Bradley. And his sister is also in the first part, but she doesn't really play a big role. And that was something I found a little odd. Like, in a lot of the Goosebumps books, if there is a sibling, the sibling plays a pretty big role in the series. Even in, like, the Slappyworld, the whole sibling thing was still very much there. So the first part wasn't too bad. Like I said, just kind of your typical. The second part, although it was interesting, it definitely suffered from my own misunderstanding. And I'm hoping that when I go back and read book 1 and 2, that some of the things that didn't make sense will happen. Because, like, Matt references, you know, oh, I got this invitation in the mail. But there's nothing there about, like, how did he get to Horrorland? You know, which I know is kind of a small thing, but, like, there's nothing there. There's, oh, he knows this one horror. And then, like, oh, I walked in here and saw this. But that's all it is. Like, you don't actually get to see him do that. You're just told. So, again, I'm hoping that that's rectified by me reading books 1 and 2. That is everything I have for you in this episode of my Goosebumps / 2000s horror, children's horror vlog. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. That you'll be notified every time I post a video. And also, let me know down below in the comments if you read Goosebumps when you were younger, if you've read these spin-off series, or if you haven't, but you like horror. What sort of horror books have you been reading recently? What sort of books in general have you been reading recently? I always love hearing from you all in the comments, and I hope to see you next time in the book cave.